Now on Coast TV News.
Special election ahead. Ocean City voters will get the final say on controversial rental regulations. We'll explain how we got here. Not for sale. Ocean City's mayor speaks out against a $20 million proposal from offshore Windber U.S. Wind. And take it down. President Donald Trump signs legislation he says will protect from digital exploitation.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
Ocean City voters, mark your calendars for a special election. It's going to be July 22nd. Good evening. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Welcome to Coast TV News at 11. We begin tonight with new developments in the ongoing dispute over Ocean City's short-term rental regulations. Ocean City passed new rental rules in March, setting a 5-night minimum stay for short-term rentals in residential areas and mobile homes. And by 2027, that minimum would have increased to 31 nights. It sparked outrage among some property owners in town. They were saying this violates property rights, and those residents had protests. They put out signs. Most notably, they circulated this petition. The petition needed about 900 verified signatures to trigger a referendum vote. Tonight, the Ocean City Council announced that will happen as they've received over 1,000 verified signatures.
I feel confident that we will succeed when we actually go to vote, because the vast majority of residents do not support this. It doesn't fix any problems, and it's been a mistake. It's been a lot of time, energy, and money spent on something.
And so there will be a special election again. That's on July 22nd there in Ocean City. And also in that Ocean City Council meeting tonight, town leaders discussed banning beach tents and canopies following a policy like Dewey Beach. Council has discussed concerns over tents blocking views and beach access. They say baby tents would still be allowed, but all other tents and unattended canopies set up before 10 a.m. would be banned. Tonight was only the first reading about this. Some locals have questions about enforcement.
Who's going to enforce it? You know, we can't really ask the lifeguards to be pulled away from water rescue or any kinds of observation that they already maintain.
And this will be up for discussion again for a second reading at a future Ocean City Council meeting. And staying in Ocean City for a moment more, the company that wants to build a wind farm off the OC coast recently announced a $20 million proposal to aid local fishermen who have concerns about this proposed wind farm. It's in the form of an agreement with both Maryland and Delaware's environmental agencies. The money would go toward grants and harbor maintenance, but commercial fishermen said they still have a lot of questions. And here's what U.S. Wind had to say about part of the deal.
So they will show us that they fished here in the past through their vessel tracks, through their from their landing receipts, and then they'll show, this year we didn't make as much money, and it was in that area.
Well, Maryland Delegate Wayne Hartman called the deal nothing more than a Band-Aid. New today, Ocean City Mayor Rick Meehan saying something similar in response to the deal. He said, quote, as we have stated that Ocean City is not for sale, the Watermen's Association has clearly responded that they are also not for sale, end quote. On your screen now is former President Joe Biden during one of his many trips to the coast. The Delaware native announcing this weekend his battle with prostate cancer. In light of the news, Coast TV News reporter Emma Aiken spoke with medical professionals about the disease and treatment options today.
Even for former presidents, things can change fast, from easing into retirement to the announcement of an aggressive prostate cancer diagnosis. Dr. Mark Edney of Chesapeake Urology says it's the most common kind of cancer men will get with age.
You can see that it's an incredibly common diagnosis.
While Dr. Edney isn't the one treating former President Biden, he has seen what's been reported and knows just what that means.
And that scale runs from a low of 6 to a high of 10. And so you can see at a 9, President Biden is towards the top of that scale, just in terms of how the cells appear under the microscope.
Still, Edney says it's too early for any concrete predictions.
I've seen in my practice in 20 years, men with Gleason 9 spread to the bone have a fairly active course, a rapid course. I've also seen other men with Gleason 9, even metastatic, live several years with excellent response to treatment. We just don't know where he's going to fall on that spectrum.
Erica Narducci with Cancer Support Community Delaware says this can be very challenging not just for the patient, but their family as well.
The emotional journey is for the caregiver and the loved one as well as the person going through the cancer.
And for someone with a former president's stature, she hopes it can help spread awareness.
We also hope that they will speak out for better treatments for what they're receiving for their cancer. Also for screening, especially prostate cancer. It's very easy for men to be screened with a PSA blood test.
At 82 years old, the former president's health has been its own story for years. But now as he battles cancer, the hope from his many supporters is that he can push through and maybe even build back better.
That was Emma Aiken reporting there, and the doctor says he recommends that all men start to get screened between ages 45 and 50 to make that a regular habit, because you won't be able to rely on symptoms. And a number of leaders reacting to Biden's diagnosis today, including Delaware Governor Matt Meyer, saying, quote, "President Biden is one of the toughest people I know. Lauren and I are thinking of him, Dr. Biden, and the entire Biden family as they face this next chapter." The governor saying the people of Delaware stand with you now and always, unquote. This does bring us to our Coast TV poll tonight. We want to know, how often do you get health screenings? Let's take a look at the updated results, see how we're doing here. 86% say every year, but 8% say every few years, 3% each either say only when they're sick or never screened. We want to know your answer here. It's very important, so go ahead and give us a vote. Just go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. And for more information on all of this information that we just told you about, we do have articles up right now on coasttv.com. And here's a live look outside into the Lewis area tonight. And our first alert chief meteorologist, Paul Williams, is going to join us now for a check on the weather. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Christina, and it's a pretty good evening overall. We're quiet. We're calm, we're cool, collected, all that stuff. And tomorrow's going to be much of the same. But it's Wednesday when there's a little wrinkle in the forecast, which we'll get to in a moment. But first of all, in Salisbury, holding at about a nice even kill, 64 degrees for right now. Now, we are going to fall into the 50s after midnight, down to 57 degrees by 3 o'clock. So there's going to be a bit of a chill in the air, but it will be clear and relatively light winds pushing out of the north. This morning, we started off at 60 degrees in Georgetown and in Ocean City, and 77 for the high for both locations as well, which is actually pretty close to the norm for this time of the year. So we had a normal day. We'll be normal tomorrow, but not so normal on Wednesday. We'll elaborate on what to expect on Wednesday. Till then, back to you, Christina.
Paul. In traffic news tonight, partial closures on Cave Neck Road in Milton. They began today. DelDOT says they're making permanent repairs to a 113-year-old bridge. Detours are in place from now until the end of August.
There's never a good time to do construction or close a road, but again, taking things into consideration like the school year, things like that, it was really what prompted us to move forward with getting this done.
And McLeod says DelDOT wanted to avoid any further issues on that bridge that would then require an emergency closure. Well, victims of explicit deep fakes now protected by federal law. President Donald Trump signing an act that will allow victims to take legal action against people who share non-consensual, explicit deep fake images online. Sherelle Hubbard has the details.
President Donald Trump, alongside the First Lady, signed the Take It Down Act today. The federal law will criminalize the sharing of non-consensual, explicit deep fakes, images in which a person's face is superimposed on a nude body using artificial intelligence without their permission. The president says anyone convicted of intentionally distributing explicit images without the subject's consent will face time in prison.
We will not tolerate online sexual exploitation, and especially it's gone on at levels that nobody's ever seen before. It's getting worse and worse, and I think this is going to hopefully stop it.
First Lady Melania Trump said the law was a powerful first step in protecting America's youth.
As First Lady, my Be Best initiative is focused on improving children's well-being, encouraging kindness, and creating a safer online environment for our youth. Today, I'm proud to say that the values of Be Best will be reflected in the law of the land.
The law will also require tech platforms to take an active role in combating the issue, requiring them to remove such images within 48 hours of being notified about them.
The Take It Down Act will protect victims of digital exploitation, hold internet platforms accountable by requiring them to remove such imagery from their platforms.
The act received bipartisan support in Congress.
The yeas are 409, the nays are 2.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
Now, previously, federal law prohibited creating or sharing realistic AI-generated explicit images of children, but laws protecting adult victims, those laws, they varied by state. They did not exist nationwide. And we are just getting started tonight at 11. Coming up next, a property tax fight in Berlin sparking debate between a state delegate and town leaders. But first, the sound of train horns is wearing on some neighbors in Kent County. What they're hoping can change.
Well, what's changing in the forecast is we're going to go from sunshine on Tuesday to rainy and stormy weather, possibly on Wednesday and Thursday. More on your full forecast in just 60 seconds. For the rest of the night, we are going to enjoy tranquil conditions and temperatures falling into the 50s, so there's going to be a slight chill in the air overnight, but nothing that's going to be ominous or things we have to be worried about or concerned about. All right, so our Irish Eyes camera dropped to 58 degrees by 3 o'clock. A look at live radar indicating we're clear here, but we do have concern for a small craft advisory that's now been extended a little bit beyond the 10 o'clock hour, actually. So we're still watching out for breezy conditions, particularly in and around the Cambridge area and over that part of the on the western portions of the Delmarva Peninsula. A bit of a warm front is beginning to surge out of the south, so we're going to have an increase in temperatures. Right now, the winds are pushing primarily out of the north. That's going to be switching up here pretty soon. We're at 62 degrees, not only in Milton, but also in Millsboro, Long Neck, 62 degrees, but also we're at 62 in Laurel, Seaford, as well as Bridgeville. Our chances of precipitation just skyrocket for Wednesday. And notice that little piddly 1% on Tuesday and a whopping almost 80% on Wednesday and 67 on Thursday and just a 25% chance on Friday. So let's take a look at the possibilities of rain and what kind of rain are we talking about. By 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we're at near 70 degrees inland for Tuesday, but increasing cloud cover. So Tuesday, not really the problem. It's Wednesday. 6:30 in the morning, we see some scattered showers, possibly a strong storm near Berlin, Ocean City, and Selbyville. And then several waves of hit and miss spot showers, now breaking up a little bit more. Now, this model run is indicating that we're not seeing as intense a cell, like no reds, but we see a whole lot more in the way of yellow. So we're still expecting the scattered showers. And then the reds, or the more intense showers, will follow immediately afterwards. So Wednesday by 9 o'clock, we're looking for most of that to get out of the way. Finally, here's a look at your extended forecast. A couple of things to keep in mind. And I kind of suspected this earlier today, and now it's coming into fruition now that I'm seeing the later model runs. This helps when you're an old guy doing this, right? Because we're looking at the thermodynamic energy just dramatically, really just tapped out by Wednesday. We're only up to 58 degrees. I'm not concerned about severe storms because we just simply won't have the thermodynamic energy in place. In other words, we need a battery to power these storms, and our batteries will be running too low. We'll need to recharge for storms. As we go into Thursday, we're going to get just a little bit warmer, just shy of that threshold where we could actually have an opportunity for the showers to become thunderstorms. But by that time, the triggering mechanism is going to be primarily moving out of our immediate vicinity. Friday, we're going to be back to the 70s. Now, that'll be warm enough, but then all the stability, air should begin to become very stable by then. Saturday and Sunday, scattered cloud cover should be in place. And then by the time we get to our Memorial Day celebrations, we'll be back into the 70s with limited opportunity for any kind of precipitation. So let's enjoy the sunshine on Tuesday and have our umbrellas ready for Wednesday and Thursday.
Got it. Thanks, Paul. Now we head to Kent County, where neighbors in Harrington are sounding the alarm on constant train horn noise. They say it's disrupting their community. People there say the horns have grown louder, longer, and more frequent. They say especially during late night and early morning hours, and they've just had enough. Delmarva Central Railroad says its trains follow federal regulations requiring horns at all public crossings. That's unless the area is a designated quiet zone. Still, some neighbors say the constant honking has become impossible to ignore. They're calling for a solution.
You can hear it now, it comes through, but then it also comes late at night when you're just relaxing, at 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. So it just comes all throughout the day.
Now neighbors have started a petition to establish a quiet zone, hoping to put an end to the excessive train noise there in Harrington. In Worcester County, a heated back and forth over property is unfolding. The state recently lowered the property value of a Dollar General store. It's in Berlin. They lowered the value by more than 20%. The property's owner, State Delegate Wayne Hartman, says he asked for this to happen. Hartman says he wanted to lower the property tax bill, which Dollar General reimburses him for, to what he calls a fair value. Town officials filed an appeal, Hartman saying it was an unfair move, but the town's mayor says his staff just wanted more details on a unique situation.
I just want to position my tenants so that they're successful here. And I would hope that, our local elected would be trying to make sure that the business that invests in their community are successful. And, how can we help you?
It's very easy to paint it as Berlin has a stance against reassessments. But keep in mind, we've never done this. This is our first time that we have ever encountered a situation like this.
So Tyndall says the town of Berlin now working to hash this out at the state level. Coming up tonight, striking a deal. Bankrupt genetic testing company 23andMe has a new owner.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
Subaru says it has adjusted the sales price of vehicles sold in the U.S. to, quote, offset increased costs. In a statement Monday, the Japanese automaker said the price change is in response to current market conditions, but did not directly link the changes to tariffs. While Subaru did not confirm the exact dollar amount of its price changes, a Massachusetts Subaru dealer posted on its website that prices would rise as much as $2,000 depending on the vehicle model. In consumer news, Regeneron Pharmaceuticals has agreed to buy bankrupt genetic testing firm 23andMe. The bankruptcy auction deal is worth $256 million. The move gives the drug maker control of the genetic data of millions of people. Regeneron said all of 23andMe's consumer services will continue without interruption. Well, this time of year, many new college graduates are looking for work. They're having a difficult time securing jobs, though, but there are things that candidates can do to stand out. In today's Consumer Watch, Jen Sullivan sits down with a career expert to discuss tips on how to get hired.
Graduation is an exciting time for students as many close the chapter on their education and get ready to find their first job out of college.
It's really important for them to treat looking for their next opportunity like a full-time job.
Brandy Britton is a career expert at the recruiting firm Robert Half. She says this can be a challenging time for graduates trying to find a job, and the numbers show that. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York recently released their unemployment data and found nearly 6% of recent college graduates were unemployed. That's about 2 percentage points higher than the national unemployment rate.
Individuals who are willing to go on site for positions, are flexible with what their starting salary is, are being considered for some of the most opportunities.
Robert Half recently conducted a survey about hiring and found 71% of Gen Z respondents said getting noticed and securing an interview is their biggest challenge.
Let everyone know that you are looking for work.
Britton also recommends working with a mentor. Utilize your school's career services, connect with alumni in the field you want to enter, and highlight your experiences in college to show relevant skills. Before an interview, she recommends you should always research the company and ask questions.
Consider contract work. That's a great way for new grads to get additional skills.
Career experts estimate it can take college graduates 3 to 6 months to get hired, so be patient. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Coming up in sports, Lake Forest seniors shine in the conference title game. The Spartans take down unbeaten Cape Henlopen. And coming up, a controversial bill will be signed into law tomorrow in Delaware. We have the details.
Here's the details of your golf forecast. Listen, we're going to be able to enjoy a little bit of golf for tomorrow. Conditions are going to be pretty good. High of about 71 degrees, partly sunny, but a little bit on the breezy side.
Well, Delaware's controversial end-of-life bill is set to become law tomorrow. Governor Matt Meyer plans to sign the Ron Silverio Heather Block Delaware End-of-Life Options Act. It allows terminally ill, mentally capable adults with 6 months or less to live to ask for medical aid in dying. Once the bill is signed, it will take effect January 1st. A ceremony for the bill signing will be held at Legislative Hall tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Meanwhile, on the national level, a bill that changes Medicaid and extends trillions of dollars in tax cuts now over a key hurdle. That's after the House Budget Committee passed it late yesterday. The rare Sunday night vote is part of the Republican effort to get the measure on the floor this week. Now, House Speaker Johnson trying to get GOP moderates and fiscal hawks to come together. The bill creates new work requirements for Medicaid recipients. That program provides health coverage for children, seniors, people with disabilities, parents, and adults without dependents. Well, new tonight, if you get a call from what looks like a Bayhealth number, be sure you double check before answering. According to Bayhealth officials, calls seem to originate from their number asking for patients' Medicare numbers. They say do not give out any personal or medical information unless the caller's identity can be verified. Well, it's a critical part of overall well-being, mental health. It plays a role in how we think, how we feel and act, and experts say caregivers and parents greatly influence the development of a child's mental health habits. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has more on how to talk to children about their mental health so that they can be set up for success.
You take care of their physical health, and experts say it's just as important for parents to help children develop good mental health.
It's natural for us to not bring things up until it's top of mind or until it's a problem. The issue with that is that kids are looking to us. They need a guide.
Licensed therapist Jody Baumstein with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta says when parents talk about mental health, be open and honest. If it's never talked about, that's sending a message that it's off limits. Instead, she says to create a comfortable space where kids can ask questions, talk about feelings, and grow into adults who do that. She says to normalize these conversations.
Validate their questions, their curiosity, their confusion, whatever feelings they have, validating that experience. That's what creates a sense of safety.
Baumstein says it's also important to use age-appropriate language that's clear and concise so that it doesn't feel like it's over their head. She says to also check for clarity, making sure a child understands. Finally, Baumstein says to encourage them to not only ask for help, but to receive it. And she says a good way to do that is by modeling it yourself.
Show them that it's okay to talk to a friend, lean on someone for support. It's also okay to get help from a licensed professional.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Moving to sports tonight, the Henlopen Softball Championship was held today, and DSM's Tim Nolan recaps back-to-back titles for Lake Forest.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
For the second time in as many years, Lake Forest softball has won the Henlopen. This time, the Spartans ended a perfect season to do it. Lake top Cape Henlopen 4-2 behind Delaware commit Bailey Glandon in the batter's box and Monmouth pledge Kara Sumter in the circle. Glandon clubbed a solo homer in her first at-bat to put Lake ahead and then drove the game-winning run home in the fifth. Sumter went the distance in the circle, getting out of a seventh-inning jam to hang on. Lake has the number 4 overall seed in the DIAA tournament. Cape is the 3 seed. Down in Alabama at the JUCO Division II College World Series, 19 seed Del Tech dropped its opener 9-0 in 5 to 14 seed Blackhawk College. Laurel grad Kylie Hill and Polytech alum Mara Everton both pitched in the loss. Del Tech has 13 players on its roster from the Bayside and the Henlopen. The Roadrunners try to extend their stay in Oxford with a win tomorrow in the consolation bracket. First pitch is 2 p.m. And keeping it with JUCO, Seaford native and former Stephen Decatur star Kareem Bolden is taking his talents to Chesapeake College ahead of next season. Bolden was an all-state basketball player in Delaware and an all-Bayside performer in Berlin. He began his college career at Frostburg State playing football. He now becomes the 4th player from Delmarva in this upcoming class for the Skipjacks.
Coming up next, streaming Sesame Street, a new way to watch the iconic children's show when we come back. Well, it looks like Elmo, Big Bird, and the Sesame Street crew have a new home. The iconic children's series set to air on Netflix later this year as part of a new deal with the streaming giant. Sesame Street entering its 56th season and will have new episodes released in 3 batches. Netflix also plans to develop video games for the Sesame Street franchise.
I'm actually glad to see that. Okay, so our Salisbury camera in Tidal Health, 64 degrees actually, and then we're going to drop down to the 50s pretty quickly after midnight under mostly clear skies. We're staying clear for right now. We were concerned about some gusty winds along the coast, but those have subsided a bit for us. Janet Caparello of Millsboro, congratulations, you're our umbrella winner, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration and Home Remodeling. Keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line, sponsored by the law offices of Brockstead, Mandalis, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. 71 on Tuesday with some sunshine. Wet weather on Wednesday, wet weather on Thursday.
Alrighty, thanks again, Paul, and thanks for joining us for Coast TV News at 11 tonight. For some more local news and local weather, you can download our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is up next, and we'll see you back tomorrow for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.